Hey everybody, this is Jack Benton again, part 3 of our how to use Zoom tutorial. I showed you how to schedule a meeting and start that meeting, and look, somebody's already showed up to our meeting. Before we let them in, let's talk about some of our in-meeting controls. So first of all, you see a lot of these up arrows with advanced settings. Let's take a look at those in-meeting settings that we can change. So first of all, do I want to start Zoom automatically? No. Do I want to view the window in a notification area instead of the taskbar? This I actually do. What this does is if I minimize the screen, whoops, I guess it won't let me. When I minimize the screen, it appears as a little window in the top corner of my screen so that I can still see the presenter. I can see who's talking, I can see what they're seeing, but it only takes up a little part of my screen. Don't use dual monitors, don't need it automatic full screen or copying a link. Ask me to confirm when I leave a meeting. So that means when I click in meeting, it gives me an option, are you sure? So I don't accidentally click that button. My connected time, if you want to time yourself, I already have a clock on my computer. Automatically remind me, that's a good option. If I turn my display off, yeah, but here we're talking about some of those non-verbal responses that students can provide. I can choose mine to be my natural skin color if I want to, or this generic gold so that everybody's the same skin color. Video, there I see myself on the video. I can choose if I want that to be narrow and tall, or short and fat. I can enable HD if I have an HD video. Mirror my video flips the sides you're on. When this is off, I raise my right hand, but it's on the left side of my screen, and that looks really weird to me trying to record this video. So when I turn it like a mirror, I have a lot better control over what I'm seeing. It's on the same side. I can also choose to touch up my appearance, and what that does is it makes everything just a little bit blurrier. If you look at the pores on my forehead, I've heard a lot of the female teachers saying they're excited about this. I'm not that vain. Always display participant names on video. Yeah, that's gonna make my life a lot easier. Turn off my video. No. Always show video preview dialog when joining a meeting. I turn this on, and what this does is when I say join meeting, before I actually join, it shows me my video screen so I can make sure that I'm decent, my background is decent. Do I want to hide the people who don't have their video camera turned on? No, I'll keep them there. I can still see their name in a window even if I can't see their face. Spotlight my video. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I think it means that I pop up when I start talking. There's also more advanced options. I just keep all those on. Audio options. If I have multiple speakers, multiple headphones, multiple microphones, automatically join computer audio, automatically mute my microphone. That's what you might have seen in the previous video. I started out muted because I don't want to make my background noise everybody's problem. And it gave me the option. It reminded me to turn that off. The space key lets me use my microphone like a walkie-talkie though. I keep it off, and when I press the space key, it unmutes myself. If I hold it down, it keeps me unmuted, and the second I lift off, it mutes myself again. So it works just like a walkie-talkie. You press the button to talk, and then you take your finger off the button to stop talking. And I think that's an excellent feature. Share screen. Full screen? Sure. Maximize zoom window? Sure. Scale to fit? Sure. Side-by-side mode, yeah. Silence system notifications if I'm sharing my desktop screen. Yeah, that might be a good idea. Virtual background. So here, it gives me a few default pictures, and I can change my virtual background. There we go. Now I'm in outer space. It also gives me some default videos so I can see how those videos work. See, it's actually animated, like a GIF. If I wanted to add my own picture, a background picture maybe of the school or something, add image or add video, add image. And it asks me on my computer in my pictures folder which one of these images do I want to do. I can say, yeah, this is a nice beach one I downloaded for my desktop. So I open that one, and it appears as an option now, so I can select that pretty beach I wanted to be on. Down here it asks if you have a green screen. And so what you might be able to tell is my edges kind of flicker in and out. That's because the wall is far behind me. A green screen means that I'm putting up a sheet or something immediately behind me. It does not have to actually be green. It just has to be solid and smooth, and that'll help even out some of this white noise. Mirror my video we already talked about. Recording. Where do I want it to record to? Do I want to pick that location later? No, let's keep it. Add a timestamp. Do I want my video to always say the date and time I made it? Not necessarily. Do I want to record my video while I'm sharing my screen? Yeah, I still want to record all that part, so I'm going to keep that on. Statistics. This is more about your system performance. There are a ton of keyboard shortcuts. The one I use is the space bar for microphone, but there's tons of other things you can choose. I would have to write all these down to try to memorize them, so I've got most of them off so they don't bother me. But yeah, there's a lot of options you can use with your keyboard instead of having to click around with your mouse. And accessibility settings are if you're going to try to add subtitles, which is a great idea, especially if you have a student with that kind of accommodation. So those are all the different settings that I can set while I'm inside. So down here I can mute myself or unmute myself, and it tells me if I try to talk and I'm muted, it actually gives me a reminder. It says, hey, either unmute the microphone or hold the space key if you want them to actually hear you. Stop video, pretty self-explanatory. When I do, it pulls up my default image that I set in my profile. What a lot of people do is if it's their real picture, it still shows up as your face. I just like cartoons. Security features. If I lock the meeting, nobody else can join. I always want that waiting room enabled. Do I want participants to share screen? I can toggle that on and off. If I want them to, great. If I don't want them to, leave it off. I definitely want the chat on. I still want people to be able to rename themselves in case their name is funny. I want them to be able to unmute themselves to talk, yeah. And if I want to remove a participant, I can. The participants screen here is very nice as a presenter. I can see everybody in the meeting and everybody in the waiting room. When it's more than one person, I can choose to add them one at a time. I can also send a message just to the people in the waiting room, like, hey, change your name, if they're looking at their chat. For me, while I'm in this, I can also choose to mute myself from here. I can see that my microphone is on and that my camera is on. And the same goes for every participant. I can see if their camera is on and their microphone is on. That's how I know who's talking and who needs to mute themselves. I also have more options. I can rename myself here. These things at the bottom, these are some more of those nonverbal commands. I can reply yes, and it puts a check next to my name, or no, and it puts a no next to my name. If I want the guy to go slower without trying to interrupt him, I can just leave this icon up and hope the speaker notices. It's a way for my students to communicate with me. And I have more options. I have thumbs down, thumbs up, coffee, say I need to take a break, or I'm away from keyboard. And once I put this, it stays up until I, the person, chooses to do it, or until I, the presenter, say to clear all. So in between questions, I can reset it and now say everybody yes or no. Did you do the homework? And once I want to ask them a second question, I clear all again and ask again for that audience response polling. The chat gives me the option to invite individual people like once the meeting's already started, but they should already have the link. I can also choose to mute everybody at the same time. Mute all current and new participants, yes. If people are refusing to turn off their microphone, I can force them to. And here, ... it gives me even more options. Mute upon entry, yep, that's what I said I wanted them to do. Allow them to unmute themselves when they want to talk, sure. Allow them to rename themselves, yeah. Give me a little doorbell when they enter and exit, yep. The waiting room for them, yep. And if I lock the meeting, then nobody else will be allowed to enter, so I'm going to leave that off for now. This would be a good time to invite this guy in, so let's admit him. And I have another laptop right beside me that's connecting. Wherever it is. There we go. That's me. So I can see his video. I can see that his video is on. On this other screen, it's asking me, I am consenting to being recorded because I turned that feature on, so yes. Join with computer audio, yes. And now I'm on both screens at the same time. And there's an awesome feedback echo. So I'm going to turn off this microphone. And now you can't... let me try that again. I'm muted on one end, but not the other end. Oh, it's because this one's... Alright. Let's see. Testing. There we go. So now, I muted myself just to prevent feedback here, but I can tell that this person has muted themselves. If they unmute themselves to talk, I can see. And if they turn off their camera, stop video, it pops up. Their name is still there, so I still know who is supposed to be here. And it shows me on this members list that they turned off their camera. There they are. So I can take this person, I can ask them to unmute themselves when I'm ready for them to talk, and on this other screen it says the host would like you to unmute. And it gives me the option, unmute or stay muted. So I chose to unmute. That's a good way to try to force students to interact with you. Likewise, I can ask them to stop their video or turn on their video. I can choose stop video, it did it automatically. I already automatically cut them out. In order to let them on, though, they have to give me permission. Asks to start video. And on my other screen, it says the host has asked you to start your video. It's a pop-up on the other screen, the student screen, so that they know they need to start their video. You requested it. I can also choose to make this person the host. If I have a co-teacher, this would be an excellent idea. I want to give them control. Or I can give a student full control over this. Allowing other people to record, yeah, that's a good idea if you want other people to record. I can choose to rename this person myself. So, awesome dude. And now he's an awesome dude. I can choose to put this guy back in the waiting room because he's been bad. And then I can talk to him about it. Send him a message. Everyone in waiting room, stop that. And then I admit him back. And there he is again. I can also choose to just completely remove this person from my meeting. If I click remove, then he is gone. He has to go back to the link to rejoin. So this is like a temporary timeout. This is more like a permanent timeout. When they re-enter the waiting room, they're still going to pop up here. I still have the option of whether or not to let them in. So here's the chat. I can choose individuals to chat to privately. I can choose everyone to chat to at the same time. And I get to select what I want students to do. Do I want the students to be able to chat with nobody whatsoever? They don't even have the option. Or do I want them to be able to talk only to me, but not each other? Or do I want everybody to see what everybody else is writing? If the chat just gets way off topic and everybody's spamming, turn it off, host only. Now they know, and it tells them that they're only talking to me privately. It tells them that they were cut off. So I can choose who I want to let chat. It also gives me the option to save chat, like it gives them the option to save chat. And that's because, remember, in settings, I turned it on automatically. I also have the option to share a file, and so do the students. They select where they want to pull this file from, and I'm not sure exactly how it works. Let's try it out. CST5, whatever that is. Cool. And so on my other screen, I see the file and I have the option to download it from that window. So this is a great way for people to share files with another person. Obviously, don't download anything that you're not familiar with, that you think might be corrupt or a virus or something. So you have a lot of control options from both the participants window and the chat window. When I go to share screen, and I can turn both of those off over here, by the way. When I go to share screen, I can turn on and off whether multiple people can share or just me. Advanced sharing options, who can share, me only or everybody. In the settings, I said by default, only I can share. If I want other people to share, I can give them permission to share. And when I say all participants, sorry about that. When I say all participants, you can start sharing when someone else is sharing. I can make them the host, and that lets them share. From their screen, though, they have now the option to share a screen. And when they do, they select the window they want to share. So now Awesome Dude is sharing his screen. Well, I don't like that. I think he's doing something inappropriate. So I have the options to stop. I can cut him off at any time. I can also request remote control so that I can take over the screen he is sharing. So I say, nope, you're done. When I click share screen, every window that I have open on my computer shows up. This is the Zoom window, of course, but I've also got this screencast window from which I'm recording this tutorial. I've also got my Chrome. I've also got some Word documents and my email opened up. So I can choose what it is I want to share, and it only shows that one window. If I wanted to share my computer audio sound, like if I'm playing a movie and I want them to hear what my speakers are playing, I can say share computer sound. I'm not entirely sure what this means. This is the whiteboard feature that had everybody excited. I can clear all drawings. I can draw different shapes right there on the screen, and it appears on the student screen just like that. I can type text, messages I want them to have. I can do spotlight, kind of like, hey, everybody look over here. Eraser to erase things. Undo, redo, clear all. Choose to save it. And when I want to give control to a student so that they can write on my board, I go ahead, I make the selection that I want them to be able to do, and then I say remote control, give mouse control to Awesome Dude. Now Awesome Dude on his end, you see that he's the one now writing on the board. It's kind of difficult for me on this trackpad on my second computer. But if they had a touch screen, it might be a little easier for them. It depends on the device they have. As the controller, I can say stop. Now he can't draw on my screen anymore. Only I can. When I'm ready to end the whiteboard in the screen share, that just toggles on and off the options. In case I click the X, I can turn it back on. When I'm ready to stop the share, I click stop share, and it takes me back out to my normal screen. Now, something to notice, now I'm sharing my browser with you, Screencast-O-Matic. I don't have my chat anymore. I don't have my members list anymore. I only have this little video off to the side. Well, I can actually toggle that down here. There's my participants list again. It's in a separate window. More chat. There's my chat. I'm not sure why it pops up on 4 different windows like this, and I'm not sure how to fix that. What I usually have to do is kind of cut this screen short so that I have space for all these windows. So now I can see what I'm presenting, plus the chat, plus the participants list, plus if I want to continue watching their videos, I've got to find a place for that. But I'm allowed to resize the screen I'm sharing to give myself more space. And again, when I'm ready to stop sharing, I just click stop share and it all goes back to normal. So that was share screen. Reactions. When I give a reaction, it appears on the window up here on everybody's view. And it only lasts for 10 seconds before it disappears. And there it goes. On my student side, reaction, thumbs up, I approve. And it'll stay there for 10 seconds. And so this is a great way for students to kind of LOL to what you're saying without it being too permanent or distracting. If I want the longer lasting thumbs up, I would go over here to the participants list and I would ask them to give me a yes or no on their participants list. Because they can pull up the participants list in the chat to look exactly like mine does. And they have less options on their end, but they still have some options on their end. On their end, they can rename themselves, they can mute or unmute themselves. They have raise hand, yes, no, go slower, go faster. And then they have thumbs up, thumbs down, clapping, coffee, clock. So they have almost the same functionality you do. You just have more permissions. So a combination of reactions and this participant list gives you a lot of nonverbal communication techniques that are excellent for class polling. Here under more, I can pause and stop the recording. I also have that ability up here to pause and stop the recording whenever I need to. I keep it going all the time though, because you never know when something's going to happen that you might need to save. Here's the option for breakout rooms, which is the other thing that everybody was really excited about. I can choose how many groups I want to make, and it tells me, like, if I have 40 participants divided by 5 groups, then there'll be 8 participants per room. Automatic means that it'll randomly sort everybody in the meeting into one of those 5 rooms to make them all even. Manually, though, it gives me the option. So I've got my 5 rooms here, and I can choose who I want to assign to this room. When I assign them to this room, they're down here, and they're off the checklist for other people. So I can make sure that everybody's been assigned when it says all participants have been assigned. Inside each breakout room, I have the option to rename the breakout room if I wanted to. I can delete it if I made too many. I can also choose to move this guy to a different room if I need to. So once I have everything arranged, and again, this is something you can do when people are logging in. As they log in, you can go ahead and assign them to the room you know you need. You can choose whether or not to move them into there automatically. I would say yeah, so that when you click it, they get moved automatically. Allow them to return to the main session at any time. I would allow that because if they want to leave their group and come back to talk to you in the main session, they can. You can also turn that off if you want to force them to stay in their group. You can set a timer, like 15 minutes, 5 minutes. How long do you want them to stay in there? And this isn't a hard limit, by the way. This is just a soft number. It'll give them a timer for 5 minutes in their room, but when the timer is up, you still have the option to click when it ends. Notify me when the time is up. After closing the breakdown room, it gives them 60 seconds. So kind of like a prep, this is your last 60 seconds before you go back to the main room. And you can choose to extend that or shorten that as you need to. Recreate, if I want to start all over from scratch, add a room, and then when I say open all rooms, they all get sorted. All participants have been invited to join. On my student screen, he was told he was moving into the room, and now he's in his room. If I want to go see what he's doing in his room, I can say join his room. Yep, there he is. Inside this room, I have a chat that's private to just this room. The conversation is being held just inside this room. I can choose to leave this room. That will take me back to the main room. If I reopen my breakout room schedule, I can join one of the other rooms. So this is an easy way for me to jump back and forth. If I want to send a message to everybody in all rooms at the same time, I can do it that way, broadcast it. I can choose to end all the rooms whenever I want them to be ended, but you also see that there's an automatic timer at the top telling the students how long they have remaining. And so that might be useful on their end to help them keep pace. When I'm ready to leave the room, I say, leave the room, leave the breakout room. I don't want to cancel the entire meeting. Once that timer goes off, and I can go ahead and do this now, close all rooms. Since I set that 60-second timer, that 60-second warning timer, it now has a timer coming up on their screen. It's going to close in 52, 51, 50 seconds. And at the end of that time, they're going to return automatically, although they have an option just like this to go ahead and leave now to return to the main session. So now I'm back in the main session. My guy on the other side is waiting for the timer to count down. I tell him to leave the breakout room. And now he's going to be back as soon as it loads. There he is. So now we're back to whole class instruction again. So breakout rooms are a great way to jigsaw activities or allow people to work in groups or stations. You can pop in and out of the different rooms. I'm not sure of a way to view all the rooms at the same time. And even if you could, it would be a mess because you would have 5 different groups talking over each other. So definitely play around with this some. It's going to take me some practice to learn to use it fluidly, and it's going to take you practice to learn all of these different options. You don't have to use them all at once. Pick your favorites. If I know I'm never going to share my screen, don't worry about it. If I know I'm always going to share my screen, learn how to use it. So right now, I'm going to pause this video for time's sake, and I'll show you how to end the meeting and look at the recording in my next tutorial video. So thank you for bearing with me during this time.